Welcome back to Coins Tool. We uncover the hidden treasures in your pocket change and dive deep into the fascinating world of American coins today. We are talking about the 1961 Jefferson nickel, a 5-cent coin that on the surface may look like just another ordinary piece of change, but in reality it carries a rich history and can be worth a lot of money to collectors depending on its condition, rarity, and unique characteristics. The Jefferson nickel was first introduced in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel, and it has become one of the longest-running designs in United States coinage history. The obverse side of the coin features the bust of Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States, and the reverse side displays his famous home Monticello in Virginia. The 1961 Jefferson nickel continues this design created by artist Felix Schlag, and it remains an important part of American coinage heritage. Now let us focus on the 1961 issue, specifically in that year the United States Mint produced two main types, the Philadelphia Mint without a mint mark and the Denver Mint with the D-Mint mark. In total, over 76 million nickels were struck at Philadelphia, and an even larger number, over 229 million, were struck at the Denver Mint. At first glance, such high mintages may make you think this coin is extremely common, but the truth is condition, rarity, special varieties, and mint state grades can make the 1961 nickel worth far more than just its face value of 5 cents. One of the most important things collectors look for in Jefferson nickels from 1961 is the condition. The grading scale runs from circulated worn examples all the way up to mint state coins graded MS60 to MS70 by professional services. A coin that is heavily worn and circulated might only be worth a few cents above face value, but when you find a 1961 nickel that is uncirculated with full details and full steps on the Monticello building on the reverse side, then you have something special. The term full steps refers to the sharp detail on the steps of Monticello. Many nickels, especially from the 1960s, were poorly struck, and the steps appear flat or weak. Coins that show 5 or 6 complete steps are very rare and command high premiums. For the 1961 Jefferson nickel, finding a coin with full steps in gem mint state condition is extremely challenging, and collectors are willing to pay hundreds or even thousands of dollars for such examples. Let us talk about values in more detail. A circulated 1961 Jefferson nickel is generally worth between 5 cents and 25 cents, which may not sound like much, but once you get into uncirculated territory, the value begins to rise sharply. Coins graded MS65 without full steps can sell for around $20 to $40, depending on demand. However, once you move to MS66 and MS67 grades, the price climbs much higher. A 1961 nickel in MS67 condition without full steps can be worth several $100s. Now, the real treasures are the 1961 full steps nickels. These are the coins that collectors chase because they are so hard to find in high grade. A 1961 nickel with full steps in MS65 can bring values between $200 and $500, and as you go higher, the price explodes. An MS66 full steps example has been known to sell for well over $1,000, and a top grade MS67 full steps nickel has reached auction prices of several $1,000. In fact, record sales show that some of the finest 1961 Jefferson nickels with full steps have sold for as much as $10,000 to $15,000 depending on their sharpness and eye appeal. It is also important to note that both the Philadelphia and Denver issues have value, but the Denver mint nickels with full steps are particularly sought after because of strike quality and survival rates. Collectors carefully examine these coins under magnification to determine if the steps are truly complete with no breaks or interruptions, and this small detail can make all the difference between a coin worth just a few dollars and a coin worth thousands. Beyond condition and full steps, there are also varieties and errors to look for in the 1961 Jefferson nickel. Error coins can include off-center strikes, die cracks, repunched mint marks, double die obverse, and other unusual mistakes made at the mint. These error coins can carry significant premiums depending on the severity and rarity. For example, a dramatic off-center strike that still shows Jefferson's portrait and Monticello can easily bring in hundreds of dollars to the right collector. The Jefferson nickel series has long been a favorite for collectors because it is both affordable for beginners and full of hidden rarities for experts. The 1961 issue sits right in the middle of the series and provides opportunities for everyone from casual hobbyists to serious investors. So next time you come across a 1961 nickel, take a closer look, because you might be holding on to something much more valuable than just 5 cents to give you in. Example of market highlights in recent years: some pristine 1961 full steps nickels have sold at major auctions for jaw-dropping figures. One coin graded MS67 full steps by PCGS sold for over $12,000, showing just how much demand exists for high-quality Jefferson nickels. Another example saw a beautiful specimen reach over $9,000 in an online auction, proving that collectors are willing to compete fiercely for the best of the best. The current market value for the 1961 Jefferson nickel really depends on what you have in your hand. If it is a well-worn circulated coin, it is worth face value to maybe a quarter. If it is uncirculated without full steps, you could be looking at $20 to a few $100s. If it has full steps in top mint state grades, then you could be holding a coin worth thousands, and in extremely rare cases even more so. To wrap it all up, the 1961 Jefferson 5-cent nickel may seem ordinary, but it carries history, design, artistry, and potential. Hidden fortune. It pays to examine your change closely, because within your coins could be a piece of American history worth far more than its small face value. We dive deep into the fascinating world of coins and uncover the hidden treasures sitting right inside your pocket change. Today, we will talk about one of the most popular and collectible coins in United States history, the Jefferson nickel, and more specifically the 1984 D. Jefferson 5-cent nickel coin. This coin has an interesting history, unique design features, and surprising market values that can make it worth far more than its face value of just 5 cents, so make sure to watch the entire video, because we are going to break down everything you need to know, including its background, its details, and what makes certain coins from this year and mint especially valuable, some even worth thousands of dollars in today's coin market. The Jefferson nickel has been one of the most beloved coins in circulation since it was first introduced in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel. The design honored America's third president, Thomas Jefferson, who authored the Declaration of Independence and was a central figure in the founding of the nation. The obverse, or front, of the coin features a portrait of Jefferson facing left, designed by Felix Schlag, who won a competition held by the U.S. Mint in the late 1930s. Schlag's design became a staple for decades and remained largely unchanged until the early 2000s. The reverse side of the coin displays Monticello Jefferson's famous Virginia home and plantation with its distinctive dome and columns. Now let us zoom in to the year 1984, specifically the Denver Mint, which struck coins with the D Mint mark located on the obverse to the right of Jefferson's portrait. The Denver Mint produced an enormous quantity of Jefferson nickels in 1984, making over 556 million coins that year. Because of such a large mintage, you would expect these coins to be very common and not worth more than face value, and for the most part circulated examples are indeed only worth around 5 cents to 10 cents in average condition. However, as is always the case in the world of coin collecting, the true value comes from rarity, scarcity, minting mistakes, and condition. When it comes to the 1984 D. Jefferson nickel, collectors often look for coins in pristine uncirculated condition and in higher mint state grades. When professionally graded by services like PCGS or NGC, a coin in mint state 65 or higher can command values far exceeding a few dollars, while examples in gem mint state with full steps detail on Monticello can reach into the hundreds. The full steps designation refers to the sharpness and completeness of the steps on Monticello on the reverse side, which is a feature many collectors chase because it is so difficult to find fully struck nickels with clear step details. But where things get very interesting is when we talk about error coins. The 1984 D. Jefferson nickel has some very notable error and variety examples that are extremely sought after by collectors. One of the most famous varieties from this year is the double die obverse, also called a DDO. In this error, the lettering and details of Jefferson's profile can show doubling, which is noticeable under magnification. Such coins can easily fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on the strength of the doubling and the condition of the coin. Another fascinating variety includes repunched mint marks, where the D mint mark was struck more than once at slightly different angles. These repunched mint marks are scarce and valuable to collectors, especially when found in high-grade examples. On top of that, there are other rare errors such as off-center strikes, die cracks, clipped planchets, and more. Each of these unique minting mistakes makes the coin not only rare but also extremely desirable for error coin specialists. Sometimes a simple 5-cent piece can suddenly be worth hundreds or even tens of thousands if it has the right kind of error attached to it. Imagine finding a coin in your change that was mistruck by the mint decades ago and is now considered a collectible rarity. This is why searching through everyday pocket change rolls of nickels or inherited coin jars can be so exciting for collectors. Now let us talk about market values. As of today, the 1984 D. Jefferson nickel in circulated condition has little to no premium at just 5 to 10 cents, but uncirculated examples, especially those graded mint state 65 or higher, can sell from $10 to $100 or more. A true gem with full steps could command between $300 and even upwards of $1,000. Depending on demand and rarity, but the highest values are reserved for rare error coins. For example, certain double die obverse varieties of the 1984 D nickel have been known to sell for more than $5,000 at auction. One particularly stunning example in mint state condition with dramatic doubling fetched over $68,000, making it one of the most valuable Jefferson nickels ever sold. That is an astonishing figure for a coin that most people would overlook as just another 5-cent Piece collectors value these coins not only for their rarity but also because Jefferson nickels as a whole are a significant part of American coinage history spanning decades of circulation and design. The 1984 D nickel represents a snapshot of mid-1980s America, produced during a time when millions of these coins were used in everyday commerce, yet today the rare surviving examples in top grade or with unique mint errors stand out as treasures. So if you have a jar of old nickels or like searching through bank rolls, be on the lookout for the 1984 D Jefferson nickel. You may just have a hidden gem sitting in your collection without even realizing it. Pay attention to the mint mark, the condition of Monticello's steps, and look closely for any doubling or unusual marks that could indicate an error. Coin to wrap it all up, the 1984 D Jefferson 5-cent nickel coin may seem ordinary at first glance, but with its historical significance, its massive mintage, its potential for rare varieties, and its surprising market value, it truly deserves a place on your radar. As a collector, from 5 cents all the way to thousands of dollars, this coin proves once again that rare coins can be hiding anywhere, and that knowledge is the key to unlocking their true worth. We talk about coins, history, and hidden treasures that could be sitting right in your pocket change today. In this video, we are going to dive deep into the 1999 D Jefferson 5-cent nickel coin, a coin that looks like an ordinary piece of change but has a fascinating story, historical background, and surprising market values that make collectors hunt for it every single day. If you have a 1999 D Jefferson nickel at home, or if you love coin collecting, then stick around because you might be holding on to a coin that is worth a lot more than just 5 cents. The Jefferson nickel is one of the most iconic coins in the history of the United States. It was first introduced in 1938 to replace the Buffalo nickel, and it features the profile of the third president of the United States, Thomas Jefferson, who was one of the founding fathers, the principal author of the Declaration of Independence, and a man who shaped the course of American history. On the reverse side of the coin is the Monticello, Jefferson's famous Virginia home, designed by Jefferson himself, which stands as a symbol of his architectural genius. The design, created by Felix Schlag, became the standard for decades, and the 1999 D nickel is part of this long and historic tradition before the modern redesigns of the early 2000s. Now let's talk about the 1999 D nickel specifically. The D mint mark indicates that this coin was minted at the Denver Mint in Colorado. In 1999, the Denver Mint struck hundreds of millions of these coins. To be exact, the mintage was well over 1 billion when combined with Philadelphia. Because of this very high mintage, most 1999 D Jefferson nickels are considered common in circulated condition. That means if you find one in your pocket change, it is usually only worth face value, which is 5 cents. But the real excitement for collectors comes in the condition of the coin, in rare errors, and in high-grade mint state examples that are graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC. Collectors always look for coins in the best possible condition, and that is where the true value of the 1999 D Jefferson nickel comes into play. In circulated condition, the value remains low, but when you find a coin that has survived in pristine condition without scratches, without wear, and with full original mint luster, the price can climb dramatically. For example, nickels that are graded MS65 and above are worth several dollars each. If you have an MS67 example, which is extremely difficult to find, the value can shoot into the hundreds of dollars. One of the most exciting things about the 1999 D nickel is that certain rare examples in the highest grade possible have reached incredible prices at auction. A superb gem mint state coin with strong strike, sharp details, and no blemishes has been sold for thousands of dollars. In fact, a 1999 D Jefferson nickel graded MS67 full steps by PCGS reached a price of around $10,000 at auction. The full steps designation is very important for Jefferson nickels. This refers to the steps at the base of Monticello on the reverse side of the coin. If all 6 steps are fully visible and not worn down or blended together due to weak striking, the coin gets the full steps designation, and collectors are willing to pay big premiums for that rarity. So if you have a 1999 D nickel, the first thing to do is check the reverse side and look at the Monticello. Pay close attention to the steps. If you can clearly see the steps and your coin is in brilliant uncirculated condition, you might have something worth far more than face value. And if you send it in for grading and it comes back as MS66 or MS67 with full steps, then you could be looking at a coin worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on the demand at the time. Errors are another major factor that can make a 1999 D nickel very valuable. Some error types include off-center strikes, double dies, repunched mint marks, and coins that were struck on the wrong planchet. For example, if a nickel was accidentally struck on a penny planchet, it would be much smaller, lighter, and instantly noticeable. These types of rare mint mistakes can fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on how dramatic and unique the error is. Collectors love errors because they tell a story about the minting process and they are always one of a kind. Now let's move on to the current market value. As of today, most 1999 D Jefferson nickels in circulation are worth only 5 cents. In uncirculated condition, they can range between $1 and $10 depending on the grade. High-end mint state coins with full steps can be worth hundreds. And the finest known examples, especially MS-67 full steps, have been known to sell for as much as $10,000, making them highly desirable for serious collectors who want to complete a registry set. What makes the Jefferson nickel series interesting is that even though billions were produced, finding a coin with perfect strike and no flaws is a true challenge. That's why coins like the 1999 D nickel with full steps are so highly prized. They are rare survivors of the minting process that showcase the design in its purest form. So the next time you get change from the store, don't ignore those nickels. Take a moment to look at the date and mint mark. If you see 1999 with a D mint mark, hold on to it and examine it closely. Who knows, you might be holding on to a coin that could bring you a nice profit if it turns out to be a high-grade or rare error example. To sum it up, the 1999 D Jefferson nickel may seem like just another coin from your pocket, but in the world of coin collecting it carries value, history, and hidden potential. Regular circulated coins are only worth 5 cents, but uncirculated coins in gem condition can be worth from a few dollars up to hundreds. The rare full steps examples in top grades can reach thousands, with some of the highest auction records going around $10,000. And error coins can be worth even more depending on how rare and unusual they are. That is why every coin collector should pay attention to the Jefferson nickel series and why the 1999 D nickel deserves a closer look. With patience and a sharp eye, you could discover a small treasure hiding in your pocket change. We explore the fascinating world of United States coins and uncover the hidden treasures that may be sitting right in your pocket change today. We will be diving deep into the Jefferson 5-cent nickel minted in the year 2000 with the Philadelphia mint mark. The 2000p nickel may seem like an ordinary coin at first glance, but as we know in numismatics, even the most common-looking coins can hold surprising stories, unique history, and in certain cases, even incredible value on today's market. The Jefferson nickel has been a staple in American coinage since it was first introduced in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel. This design, featuring the profile of President Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his famous home Monticello on the reverse, has been in circulation for decades with only slight modifications through the years. By the year 2000, the United States Mint was producing hundreds of millions of nickels for circulation, but within those large numbers, there are always coins that stand out, whether through condition mint errors or rare varieties. The 2000p Jefferson nickel was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which is identified by the small p mint mark located to the right of Jefferson's portrait. Millions of these coins were made, but collectors and coin dealers pay close attention to examples that are found in pristine condition, graded at the highest levels by professional services. Coins that remain in mint state, with no wear and strong luster, can be worth far more than their face value, especially in grades above MS-65. Now let's talk about why the 2000p Jefferson nickel has gained attention from collectors in recent years. While the majority of these coins are still worth only face value of 5 cents in average circulated condition, the story changes dramatically when you look at high-grade certified coins or examples with major striking errors. Error coins are particularly exciting for collectors because they are one of a kind and can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars in auction. Some 2000p nickels have been discovered with off-center strikes, broad strikes, double die errors, and clipped planchets. These mistakes during the minting process create coins that are visually unique and highly sought after by error collectors. In addition to mint errors, the highest premium is seen for 2000p Jefferson nickels graded at the top levels by PCGS or NGC. For example, a nickel in mint state 67 or higher is incredibly difficult to find, and these examples can sell for well over $100 and sometimes more depending on the coin market demand. Coins in superb gem condition are always rare because most nickels go through circulation and pick up scratches, dings, and wear before anyone thinks to save them. So uncirculated rolls or proof like strikes that have survived since 2000 are worth setting aside for future appreciation. The historical significance of the Jefferson nickel also adds to the appeal. Thomas Jefferson, as the third president of the United States and the author of the Declaration of Independence, remains one of the most respected figures in American history. The Monticello on the reverse of the coin symbolizes his legacy and love for architecture and innovation. Owning a high-quality Jefferson nickel from the year 2000 connects you with that long history, while also offering the excitement of potentially owning a valuable collectible. Now let's get into the current market values. A regular 2000p Jefferson nickel in circulated condition is worth only its face value of 5 cents. If you find one in your pocket change, do not expect it to bring in big money. However, if you happen to discover one in uncirculated condition with full steps on Monticello, which means all the lines on the steps are sharply defined, then you are looking at a coin worth anywhere from $10 to over $50 depending on grade. If your coin is graded at MS66 or higher, the value can skyrocket, with auction records showing sales of top examples going into the hundreds of dollars, and in the rarest cases with exceptional eye appeal and full steps, a coin has reached values close to $1,000. Error coins from this year can bring in even more. For example, a dramatic off-center 2000p nickel or a double-struck example has been known to sell for several $100s, and unique errors can fetch several thousand if two collectors go head-to-head at auction. One of the most famous sales of a 2000p Jefferson nickel error reached an incredible price of around $68,000 because it was a dramatic mint error that stood out as truly one of a kind, making it one of the most valuable Jefferson nickels from modern times. So the next time you come across a handful of change, take a closer look at your nickels, because the 2000p Jefferson nickel is more than just 5 cents in your pocket. It is a piece of American history, and it could also be worth big money, especially if you find an example in top condition or with a rare minting error. Collectors are always searching for the next rare discovery, and you never know, your coin could be one of the few that brings thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars at auction. We talk about rare coins, valuable finds, and the hidden treasures you might have sitting right in your pocket change. Today, we are diving into the fascinating world of the Jefferson nickel and focusing on the 2015 D 5-cent nickel coin. This coin might seem modern, but do not let that fool you, because some examples of the 2015 D nickel have surprised collectors with their value, and certain rare conditions can make them worth a lot of money in today's market. If you enjoy learning about coins that could turn an everyday nickel into hundreds or even thousands of dollars, then you are in the right place. Let's go deep into the history, the design, and most importantly, the value of the 2015 D Jefferson nickel. The Jefferson nickel is one of the longest-running coin series in American history. First introduced in 1938, it replaced the Buffalo nickel and featured the third president of the United States, Thomas Jefferson, on the obverse side. The reverse featured Jefferson's home, Monticello, which has been a key design element for decades. Over the years, the Jefferson nickel went through some changes, including special war nickels in the 1940s, design refreshes in the early 2000s, and the return of the Monticello design in 2006. By 2015, the design was well established in its modern form, showing a forward-facing portrait of Jefferson on the obverse and the classic Monticello building on the reverse. The coin was struck at both the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint, with the 2015 D version carrying the D Mint mark, which represents the Denver Mint. Now let's talk about the numbers. In 2015, the Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of these nickels, so at first glance you might think they are all common and not worth more than face value. And while it is true that most circulated 2015 D nickels are worth just 5 cents, there is a world of difference when we look at uncirculated, high-grade examples, and especially coins that contain striking errors or are certified at the top of the grading scale. This is where collectors pay big premiums, and where the real money is. Circulated 2015 D nickels that have been used in everyday transactions will generally only be worth their face value of 5 cents. However, if you find one in uncirculated condition, pulled straight from a bankroll or a mint set, it can be worth anywhere from 25 cents to a few dollars depending on the quality. Collectors love coins that are sharp, lustrous, and free of scratches or marks, and those can fetch much more than ordinary worn nickels. But the real money comes in when we talk about mint state grades above MS66 or MS67. Coins graded MS67 or higher by professional grading companies such as PCGS or NGC can sell for impressive amounts at auction. For example, some 2015 D Jefferson nickels in MS67 condition have sold for well over $100 each, simply because they are so rare in such pristine quality. While millions of these coins were minted, only a tiny fraction survive in perfect condition, and that rarity drives up the value. Error coins are another story entirely. Whenever you have a coin that left the mint with a mistake, collectors go wild because these pieces are unique and highly collectible. On 2015 D nickels, error types can include off-center strikes, double dies, die cracks, and even coins struck on the wrong planchet. Some of these error coins have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on the severity of the mistake and the overall eye appeal. Imagine finding a 2015 D nickel with a dramatic off-center strike that clearly shows part of the design missing. That could easily fetch hundreds of dollars at a coin auction. A double die error where Jefferson's face or the lettering is doubled would also be highly desirable, sometimes commanding big premiums in the collector market. The most valuable 2015 D Jefferson nickel recorded to date was a stunning example graded MS67+ with full steps on Monticello. The term full steps refers to the clarity of the steps on Monticello on the reverse of the coin. This is one of the most sought-after features by collectors of Jefferson nickels. When those steps are fully struck and visible without interruption, the coin becomes far more valuable. One such example of the 2015 D nickel with full step sold for thousands of dollars at auction, showing just how much collectors are willing to pay for perfection. So what does this mean for you if you happen to have some 2015 D nickels? First, check the overall condition. If it is circulated and worn, it is worth 5 cents. If it looks brand new, sharp, and clean, it could be worth anywhere from a few cents more to several dollars. If you suspect you have a high-grade example with no flaws, it might be worth sending to a professional grading service. If you notice any oddities such as doubling, missing details, or off-center strikes, then you might be holding a rare error coin that could be worth hundreds. And if you are lucky enough to find one with full steps in gem condition, you might just be looking at a coin worth thousands. The Jefferson 2015 D nickel may not seem old, but history shows us that even modern coins can become treasures. It's always important to look closely at your change, because you never know when you might come across one of these valuable finds. The current market shows that collectors are still actively chasing high-grade and rare examples of modern nickels, and prices continue to rise as fewer pristine examples remain available. That means that holding on to a rare 2015 D nickel in top condition could prove to be a smart move for the future. In conclusion, the Jefferson 2015 D 5-cent nickel is a coin that deserves attention. It represents both American history and the modern minting era. While most examples are common and worth only face value, the rare high-grade coins, the full-step varieties, and the error coins can be worth a lot of money, some even reaching values in the thousands of dollars. So the next time you have a handful of nickels, take a moment to look carefully. We are diving deep into the world of modern American coinage and focusing on one of the most interesting coins in circulation right now, the 2022 P. Jefferson nickel. This coin might look like just an ordinary 5-cent piece you could find in your pocket change, but like with many coins produced by the United States Mint, there is a hidden story behind it, a history that stretches back decades and values that can range from face value to hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on condition, rarity, and collector demand. So make sure you stay tuned, because by the end of this video you might start checking your change a lot more carefully. The Jefferson nickel has been a staple of United States coinage since 1938. When it replaced the Buffalo nickel, the Mint wanted a fresh design to honor one of America's founding fathers and third president, Thomas Jefferson, who also authored the Declaration of Independence. The obverse or front of the coin has featured Jefferson's portrait since the very beginning, though the design has changed a few times, most notably in 2006 when a more forward-facing portrait by sculptor Jamie Franke was introduced. This design is still used today, so when you look at a 2022 Jefferson nickel with the Mint mark P, you are seeing Jefferson facing forward in a bold, detailed style with the word Liberty inscribed in script next to him and the motto "In God We Trust" on the reverse or back of the coin. You will see Monticello Jefferson's historic home in Virginia, which has appeared on the nickel for most of its history except during the Westward Journey nickels released between 2004 and 2005. Monticello symbolizes Jefferson's vision and legacy, and it makes the Jefferson nickel one of the longest-running coin series in American history. Now let's talk about the 2022 P. Jefferson nickel. Specifically, the P Mint mark means it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, one of the oldest and most important mints in the United States. Millions of these coins were produced in 2022 for general circulation. However, even though the mintage numbers are high, collectors are always on the lookout for high-grade examples, special proof strikes, error coins, and varieties that can make these modern coins worth far more than just 5 cents. The value of a 2022 P nickel depends heavily on its condition. Circulated examples you might find in your change are typically only worth face value of 5 cents, but uncirculated examples graded by professional grading services can sell for Much higher, a coin graded MS-67 or MS-68, for example, can reach well into the hundreds of dollars because very few coins survive in such pristine, flawless condition. Some of the highest quality coins with perfect strikes, sharp details, and clean surfaces have sold for strong premiums in auctions. Collectors pay top dollar for these coins because they are so difficult to find in circulation. Another important factor that can influence the value of a 2022 P. Jefferson nickel is whether it has any minting errors or varieties. Coin errors happen when something goes wrong during the minting process. Examples include double die obverse or reverses, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or coins struck with die cracks. These errors can turn an ordinary 5-cent coin into a valuable collectible, sometimes worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on the severity and rarity of the error. For example, a dramatic off-center strike or a strong double die can create huge demand among error coin collectors. In addition to circulation strikes, the United States Mint also produces proof coins and special collector sets. In 2022, the Mint issued special proof nickels struck at the San Francisco Mint with mirror-like fields and frosted devices. Although the Philadelphia Mint does not produce proof nickels, it does produce brilliant uncirculated collector sets, which include higher quality examples of the 2022 P nickel. These sets are highly sought after by collectors who want pristine examples for their albums or graded collections. Now let's talk about current market values in 2025 for the 2022 P. Jefferson nickel. Circulated examples, as mentioned, are worth just 5 cents unless they have an error. Uncirculated examples can range from about $1 to $5 raw depending on quality, but once professionally graded by services like PCGS or NGC, the values can increase dramatically. A 2022 P nickel graded MS-66 might bring $25 to $40, while one graded MS-67 could fetch over $100 in a coin at the elusive MS-68 level can be worth several $100s and beyond. There have already been auction results where high-grade 2022 P nickels sold for big premiums because collectors know that modern nickels are often poorly struck, and finding one in top condition is a serious challenge. Error coins from 2022 have also appeared in the marketplace. Some have sold for prices between $50 and $500 depending on the error type and eye appeal. One example is a 2022 P nickel with an off-center strike that sold online for nearly $200. Another example is a nickel with die clashes and cracks that collectors eagerly bid up to over $100. These values show that even new coins can have surprising value when errors are involved. So the big takeaway here is that the 2022 P. Jefferson nickel is more than just a 5-cent coin. It is part of a long tradition of American coinage honoring Thomas Jefferson. It represents history, artistry, and the fascinating world of coin collecting. While most examples will be worth only face value, there are rare cases where high grades or mint errors can make them worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars in the current market. Some of the best examples are already commanding impressive premiums at auctions, with certain rare specimens pushing collector values into the thousands, with a few special coins even rumored to be valued as high as $2 million in unique error conditions. So the next time you receive change at the store, do not overlook the nickels. Especially if you spot a 2022 P. Jefferson nickel, take a close look, check for errors, study the condition, and if it appears nearly flawless, consider having it graded. You never know, you might be holding a coin worth far more than 5 cents. That wraps up today's deep dive into the 2022 P. Jefferson nickel coin history, design, and current market value. If you found this video helpful or learned something new, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with other collectors and coin enthusiasts. And most importantly, keep checking your pocket change because treasure could be hiding right in your hands.